Simply, the Samaritan Pentateuch, Sam-P, is a later recension of the Hebrew Torah text, less faithfully rendered than in the Masoretic text, T. There have been a number of studies conducted on the various codices of the Samaritan Pentateuch since the 17th century, yielding a wide range of conclusions. One of the more loudly touted by those anxious to discredit the Bible is perhaps the London Polyglot of 1657, which counted some 6,000 variations between the Masoretic text and the Samaritan Pentateuch. 1,900 of these agreed closely with the Septuagint, LXX. However, since that time of limited textual analytical technique and archaeological knowledge, many other studies have been conducted. The essential findings and common belief modernly held with Qumran corpuses in hand, NT, New Testament, Septuagint, Masoretic text, and other Samaritan writings is that the Masoretic text presents a more accurate rendering of an older recension, from which the Septuagint, Proto-Samaritan Pentateuch, and other translations emerged. Visually, the flow might appear like this, with the line indicating a closer recension, identical perhaps, to the original. In fact, the earliest actual manuscript of the Samaritan Pentateuch, which I could find the article refer to, was about AD 1100. What then does the Samaritan Pentateuch mean to Christians, as it differs slightly from the Masoretic text? Not much more than the two statements above. In fact, in light of the purpose for which Muslims may use this apparent problem, it reaffirms that the Torah has not changed significantly since at least a few hundred years before Christ. The Torah to which the Quran refers believers to observe and adhere to is both logically and effectively the more common text of the period, the Masoretic text, which is the basis for the Old Testament in most, if not all, modern Bibles. Jesus was aware of the difference in faith between the Samaritans and Jews in his time. How did he deal with it? John 4:7-42. The story of the woman at the well. Verse 20 reads, the woman speaking, "Our fathers worshipped on this mountain," probably Gerizim, my comment, "and you say Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship." Verse 21. Jesus said to her, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem will you worship the Father." RSV. As Christians, we may, and indeed must, depend upon what Jesus thought of the true Torah. Though the New Testament references the Septuagint many times in its pages, the Septuagint compared to the Masoretic text in those passages shows simple translational adjustments and a more literal interpretation. This same phenomena accounts for a great many of the 6,000 discrepancies between the Samaritan Pentateuch and the Masoretic text. In fact, in flipping through the Torah in my NKJV Bible, I found about 6 notes where the Samaritan Pentateuch diverged from the Masoretic text, and 100% of those did not alter the theology of the verses with respect to Christian doctrine. Therefore, I believe that it can be said that the Samaritan Pentateuch does not provide ample evidence for the claims that the Masoretic text is corrupted, but rather substantiates that the Masoretic text is faithful to the original Torah, and also that the scriptures of Moses to which the Quran refers are the very same contained in the modern Bible.